right, we're live. Everybody, I would like to introduce you to my special guest today, John L. Mlnarik, although I practiced butcher it, my apologies. And thank you for coming, John.
You're welcome.
He's a Californian licensed attorney and the founder of Mlnarik Law Group, Inc. Could you briefly tell us about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Well, I'll just kind of start with the law firm and how that started. I graduated from law school in 2008 and sat for the July bar. I got the results and was sworn in on December 1st of 2008. I was looking for work, but a lot of lawyers were being laid off. So I got a mentor in bankruptcy, and there were a lot of bankruptcies being filed, a lot of cases, a lot of people who needed help. So a few lawyers and I got together, got some office staff and office space, and started the firm. A few years later, bankruptcies fell off, and so we started looking to areas of law that our clients also needed help with. And so we got into some other areas of law. So now we do some family law, some estate planning, some general business litigation, and with my LLM in tax, some tax law. So it really is about what the community needs and what the people who are coming to us, what they've got to have, and what's happening in the world today as well. And during the pandemic, people were concerned that they weren't going to live forever because they turned the TV on and they heard about all the death and dying from COVID-19. And so people wanted to get their estate matters in order in case something unexpected happened. And so estate planning is something that we've been doing a lot more of the last few years. So I really run the law firm, service clients, and try to do our very best for all those who come to us and put their trust in us to handle their problems.
That is amazing. I mean, that's a lot of areas. So forgive my ignorance. So that means you are licensed in all the things that you do, or do you employ other people? I'm not sure how that works.
That's a good question. So now you need a lot of other people to make it work. Right now we're smaller. The pandemic kind of shrunk us like it shrunk a lot of companies. So there's only a handful of people here now. There's just three of us. It's challenging, but it's also very rewarding. The specialization I have is in bankruptcy. That's because of all the cases that I handled during that 2009 and so time frame where the housing market collapsed in California and a lot of people needed to get out from under their upside down house, or they wanted to value liens in Chapter 13 and have their second or third mortgage paid with unsecured creditors, and have it removed so that they again had some equity or were closer in equity to their home. So I have a bankruptcy specialization, and the State Bar of California offers other specializations. It just, getting those people assembled and getting those specializations is important. But as a lawyer, you can practice any law. You don't need a special permission to practice family law or litigation or do other things. I guess the one exception with that is prosecuting patents. In order to prosecute a patent with the United States Patent Office, you need to pass the patent bar. That's something that I don't handle, but I know a lot of great people that do, and so I can get a good referral to somebody if they needed a patent.
Yeah, that's amazing. Those are, I'm learning new things that I didn't know. I thought you would have to, be licensed in each and every. So that's wonderful. And bankruptcy law is really important for a lot of people. So I just wanted to ask, have you worked with people whose English is not their first language before? And if so, what do they struggle with?
Yeah, it's you definitely come across people, especially in the Bay Area, that have different languages. There's a lot of Vietnamese, Spanish-speaking people, Farsi, a lot of different languages. And the biggest challenge is all the legal terms don't always interpret well. So even if you have a professional interpreter, even if you have a family member who's their second or third generation and can talk to mom or grandma and grandpa about what you're saying, it often doesn't translate because the translator doesn't necessarily always have a law degree either and know how to explain it in a legal sense in that other language. So that's the big challenge is misunderstanding. There are misunderstandings even when I deal with people who are, English speakers and have been their entire lives, just because language of the law is very specific and very nuanced and intricate. So that communication is really something that, as you would imagine, is difficult when you're dealing with somebody who's got English as a second language.
Right. And I mean, for most people who come from another country, I can speak for myself. I come from Eritrea, Ethiopia, let me just say Africa area. Yeah. It's just the law is different, and the court system, everything is so different. So it's very hard, even as an interpreter myself, when I translate or when I interpret, it's just the meaning is lost, because what does that mean? It just keeps going up. The courthouse are very busy and you need to move on, but you can't just make the person understand in just a few minutes what it means. And like you said, people who have been here for a long time don't even understand it. So that's more complicated. So what would be your advice for them? Like, for example, they get in trouble, let's say, maybe they come to you to, because they have some family issues they need to resolve, maybe divorce or what else? Let's see. Or maybe they're in trouble with their taxes and then they don't understand that they're there. So what would be your best advice you could give them to proceed?
Yeah, absolutely. So it depends on what we're discussing, what area of law, because there are different resources out there for different areas. And there are a lot more resources in English than there are in other languages. So, and some languages, Spanish, for example, the Internal Revenue System and the IRS, they're good about giving things in multiple languages. A lot of the superior courts in California are good at giving things out in multiple languages. The bankruptcy court is very good about having access to interpreters and giving out things in different languages. So it really depends on the resources that are available and what area we're practicing in. Typically, there are things that can be done. People can control their attitude and their effort. So they really need to have a decent attitude about it and just come into it understanding that, hey, this is new to me. This is something that I'm going to have to work at. You don't just hire somebody and expect your problem to go away or to make them take it away. Lawyers work with their clients on a team in order to achieve a certain goal for the client. And the lawyer can't do it all by themselves. There are a lot of things that I need clients to provide, things that I need clients to do that I just simply can't do. And so if they kind of come to it knowing that they're going to have to do some work besides, then that usually sets a good expectation and gets them going in the right direction. And they also need to have a support system themselves. Sometimes people come and they don't have anyone supporting them. And so then my advice really is a practical one, to get some help, whether it's a different professional for a psychologist or for a CPA, depending on what the problem is, they're going to need some other support as well. Some folks know those people already have them in place, or they have strong family members and resources they can go to, but many people don't. And so part of the job that I do in a practical way is try to identify, even though they're not sitting there telling me that they don't have these people, is for me to help identify, when they are going to need it in a certain circumstance, and to direct them to go out and get those folks and get them in place. And then it's up to them to do that too, to make sure that they're out there putting the effort in, to make sure that they're paying the advice they're paying me to give them, that they're actually taking it and doing something about it, helping themselves. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's also some things that I see sometimes. Although they hire a lawyer, there's that trust issue, number one.
Yeah.
They need to build trust, right? Okay, I'm paying you, and I'm gonna trust that you're gonna get it done, and I'm gonna have my support system so that I can keep my attitude in check, and I can relax and calm, and find someone who can advise me how to wait it out and what I need to do. Yeah, I see that a lot, and some of it is probably because of the lack of knowledge. Um, like, you're here, you're my lawyer. Okay, there's another lawyer over there, and then there's another lawyer. Who is who? And it becomes very overwhelming for people because, like I said, they come from a very different background, and trust becomes always an issue. So that's a good advice, to check their attitude and trust and get their support system. So, and sometimes, why is it important if they get into trouble, to get a lawyer, or at least consult a lawyer before moving forward? Because some people, I find them at the courthouse and they don't know what they're doing. They just have the story written, and then they're there in front of the judge, and they don't know what to do. So why is it important, do you think, they should consult a lawyer at least, or maybe get a lawyer?
So in situations where people find themselves, as you're saying, in trouble, or maybe they've got a lawsuit filed against them, or their spouse is divorcing them, or their spouse is maybe abusing them, and they're trying to get some help from the system in that domestic violence situation to get some space, they really need to make sure that they're spending the money on the lawyer initially, so that they don't go in to something they don't have any idea about, especially if they don't speak English, and make more mistakes and make it more difficult for any lawyer to take their case, because the best lawyers are busy already. The best lawyers are not going to necessarily take over something where somebody's already made a horrendous mess of it. And if the client is making a horrendous mess of it before they even come see you, it's usually a good indication that they're not going to be a good client. And so it throws up some red flags. So you want to go talk to lawyers early on to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to show that your attitude is good. You're not taking this lightly. You're actually going to put the effort in and do what you're supposed to. And that that effort that you're putting forward is done early on. When people come to the office and they want help with the problem, and they've got a laundry list of excuses about why it's a huge mess, it really says a lot. And you kind of wonder if the next excuse that they're going to give to the person they see, or the court that they appear in, is that the lawyer did something wrong, and then now you're their excuse. So we don't really like to do that. We work hard. We train for many years to do what we do, and we have a reputation to protect. And for lawyers, a reputation is their most important thing, and their stock in trade. And you want to make sure that you've got people as your clients who are going to help you continue with that good reputation, and aren't going to, they're going to do what it takes, just like you're going to.
For sure. And I have met a lot of lawyers because of the nature of my work, and I have not met not even a single lawyer that is not really trained or good, or they don't know what they're doing. So and you guys work so hard. I know you have to go through a lot of education and certification, and it's really, really amazing what you do for our community. And so things that I got here was like, do you offer like a 30 minutes or 20 minutes free consulting um, time for people before they can decide whether to go with the firm or not? I know some
Yeah.
firms do that. They do that, right?
Yeah, so we will talk to people for, again, that first 20 minutes or so, just to see if we're going to be any help of them, to get some basic information from them, and
Yes.
to see if it's worth their time, worth our time. So yeah, absolutely, we spent time with them that we're not charging them for, but typically when we ask them to put their documents together and to come into the office and to sit down with us for a period of time, an hour or so, in that kind of first meeting, that's something that we will charge for, because a lot of times that's where we do our best work. We're identifying the issues, we're getting them to organize their documents and information, and they've carved out a good spot on our calendar. So we want to make sure they understand that we need to be compensated for our time, and they need to take it seriously as well. So
Of course. I mean, it's very generous of you already giving that 20 minutes time slot, just in case the person just needs the um, only the advice.
yeah,
But other than that, of course, you need to be compensated. Everybody does. We have kids, we have bills to
yeah,
pay and everything, and nothing is free in America.
right.
So people need to understand that. Awesome. And do you offer them English translator if you have some trouble? Do you call and get them uh, uh, at the office? Maybe not the first meeting, but would you be able to help them with the translation?
Yeah, and that first meeting is important to have a translator as well, but I wouldn't necessarily use a professional translator at first unless it was necessary. A lot of times there's family members who can help translate, as long as they don't mind letting those family members know about what the situation is. And sometimes we have staff that speaks their language, so that can be helpful as well. But yeah, if there's a true language barrier and they can't comprehend what we're talking about, you've got to get a translator, or you're going to be wasting your time and their time. And oftentimes they're just going to come out right out and say it. And a lot of times they'll actually have an idea of what they want to do already, because they're working with other professionals and they're getting it. They want to make sure that they're taken care of as well. So I'm really leery more so of the people who don't want one and want me to believe that they understand everything, because they just, that maybe makes me understand that they want to take a shortcut to somewhere, or they want to just nod their head and say, yes, I understand, and then again they're going to be gone, and I'm going to be left trying to take care of it myself, when I know that there are things that I can't do for them. And they're going to need to understand my communications to them, saying, you need to take care of this aspect, and you need to take care of that aspect, and here's what the court has ordered, here's what you need to do. That's a good indication right away if they're taking it seriously or not.
Right. And some people, the way we are raised is like to be proud.
Yes.
Sometimes that works against us, because some people think, oh my God, I know the English. If I say I don't know English, then you know what I mean? It becomes
Yeah.
a side issue, but it's always good to remember when it comes to the law. It's important that you understand it's beyond the pride, because now you will be in trouble forever. So it's
Yeah.
a good point. And then also, once they come to you, and let's say they have an interpreter, or maybe they don't, and then uh they don't understand the person, or the personality doesn't match with them, would it be possible to change an attorney within your company?
Yeah, typically yes, but usually people who are of like mind or like how they live their lives, they usually find a match with the lawyer, and they can know, and we can know within a few minutes whether or not we are going to be a decent match in that way. So if they have a problem with one person and want to switch to somebody else, while I don't have an issue with that, usually the people who are working here are all kind of the same like mind, and so switching is again maybe another thing. They're coming up with an excuse, and I don't like to deal with this person, I want to deal with the other one. But it's not that we wouldn't accommodate that. It's just that maybe there's some other reason.
I see.
Yeah, going back to being proud, I totally agree. But there's, you should be proud of giving forth good effort and really not kidding yourself about what you understand and what you don't understand. And so there's times to be proud and there's times to be humble, and you don't want to really have to swallow your pride in front of the court, as it sounds like you've witnessed many times yourself as you're trying to interpret to people that they have to do that in front of the court. And so, they've got to put forth their best attitude and effort a lot of times before they ever get in front of the judge. And so while it is good to be proud, you've got to understand what it takes to get there, and in order to put that forward as well. You've got to humble yourself and get the work done that you need to get done before you get there. So that's kind of my 2 cents of that. So
I love that, because it doesn't even make sense, right? Like, for example, if I took you to my country,
mm-hmm.
and you had something at the court that you need to take care of, you won't be able to use the knowledge that you have here or there, right? So in this kind of situation, the only thing that anyone, even me or anyone, can do is to be humble, right?
Yeah.
I don't know this thing and I need help. So I like that. Thank you for that advice. And being humble will take care of the attitude we're talking about, and it will help the communication, be fluid, so that they can be your team members. You are not against them, but they are working with you so that you can help the person. So those are really valuable lessons. I actually have finished most of the questions that I have. Is there anything that you would like to give advice on? And also after that, you can tell us where people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody's got a website, and I've got a slide with the phone number of the office, the address, and the website. So we're located in Santa Clara on Bowers and Central Expressway. I guess I would just briefly want to go through maybe the practice areas and say, we do bankruptcy for individuals, and when it's appropriate, small businesses, Chapter 7, Chapter 13, and sometimes Chapter 11. The Chapter 13 rules have changed significantly in 2023. The debt limits have increased. So where before people were not allowed to file in California because their home loan pushed them over the debt limits, there are lots of other options now in bankruptcy. Valuing liens and removing.
I'm sorry. Would you like me to share your slide? You want to go through it, or
let me just share that one real quick. That way we can see that. I think I've already got it kind of open. Can you see it there?
Yes, I can see it.
There we go. Let's see if I can advance it. Even trickier part of this. Okay, there we go. So in the bankruptcy area, I'm a certified specialist. In trusts and estates, we do wills, trusts, powers of attorney, advanced healthcare directives. People don't typically understand how those things work together. And in California, because of a lot of the tax laws, if you own a home, it's best to put your home into a trust so that you can pass it along to your kids or to whoever you want it to go to. And a trust often works in tandem with what they call pour over wills, or a will that will essentially take things that you didn't transfer and pour them over into your trust. A power of attorney is for when you're alive still, but you're unable to take care of your finances. So maybe you have mental problems that you can't understand where you are, or you're forgetful. So your power of attorney would take over during that time. Maybe you're going in for a procedure, and during the time that you're there, you need to have somebody take care of your finances, so you can set up your durable power of attorney to allow somebody that you trust with your finances to take care of things for you. The Advanced Healthcare Directive is something that hospitals will typically ask you for when you get there. Do you have one on file? Do you have one? Please provide it to us. And that's really somebody who's your power of attorney, but for healthcare purposes. So how long do you want to be on life support? What methods do you want to keep you alive should something happen? Should you be in an irreversible coma, or that sort of thing? Tax law I've talked about already. We've got the LLM in taxation from WashU. Family law, premarital agreements, which is really looking at it before you get married and establishing some rules for each person, how you're going to treat your income, how you're going to treat your assets, how you're going to treat assets that you're acquiring during your marriage. Sometimes people come in with businesses that they've formed before they get married, so you want to set up some rules for that. Take you through divorce, separation, custody for children, and support for children and spouses. And then the general business litigation. This can really be just about anything, from litigation with the landlord to disputes with other clients or other customers or other things. And we've represented plaintiffs and defendants. So that kind of takes the broad brush of all the practice areas. I talked already about the English as a second language and the items there. And then just general value of legal advice is that you don't know what you don't know. And in order to go out there, you need to figure out what it is you don't know. And those people who are professionals or lawyers, they're going to help explain that to you. Attorneys provide legal and practical advice. I talked about some of those things earlier in answer to your question. And then being prepared. Hiring a lawyer and other professionals is part of preparation for success when you get in front of the judge, or at the time when, like we talked about earlier for estate planning, at the time when you pass away. Be prepared for your family and those you leave behind. Attitude and effort, those are things you can control. Getting legal advice helps you understand how to direct your attitude and your effort. If you don't know what you're supposed to be working on because you haven't gone out to find out what you're supposed to work on, then sometimes you can spend a lot of time and effort doing something that might not even matter. So thank you very much. This is how people can find us. And we're here again on Bowers at Central Expressway. The phone number to the office is here. The phone number, this is my personal mobile number, and then the website address. So thank you so much. I really had a good time talking with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Anything else that brought to mind?
I'll put all the contact info when I share the video on the comment part, so people can find you. Great. And I really enjoyed this, and I learned a lot.
Thank you.
And hopefully this is not the last. And thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Your time is very important.
As is yours. All of our time is important. So I hope the people watching this got some value out of it. And if they have questions, they'll contact me and follow up so I can answer those questions.
Exactly. And if I need a lawyer for, trust, I've been writing a lot. I know where to find you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You too. Bye now.